my parents were just kind of like shocked. They're like, wait, what? You want to not go to college and try this? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can always go to college later, but I just, this is what really makes me happy no matter what. And I know that even if I were to make $1 or however much, I'm winning no matter what.
Hello everyone, I'm Michael Corrigan and this is the Journey Continues podcast where we speak to interesting individuals about how they've navigated the challenges in their lives. Our mission is not to provide advice, but it is 100% about insight into what our guests were thinking and feeling through these challenging times so you can cherry pick the information that resonates with you the most. Today's guest is Jon Reyes from New York City. Jon is a professional scooter rider who has fundamentally built a life from following his passion. He's considered an innovator within the sport, and I think it's fair to say he committed to something when it wasn't the most obvious thing for other people at that time, and he did something that was a bit different as well. As part of this, he's amassed a social media following of over 1 million followers, and today we're going to explore Jon's journey and go through some of the challenges that he's faced on that journey. So Jon, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome. A little different, but it's gonna be fun.
That's exciting. It's good. Cool. I mean, so let's kick things off. Like, how did you get started?
I'm just like anybody else, man. I mean, like, remember in 1999 or 2000 when everybody had those foldable scooters? It was like a cool thing for a little bit. Yeah, that's me. I'm a survivor. I'm the one that didn't throw it out. So I kept going with that.
That's awesome. So did you do like sports beforehand, or like what was the journey?
Yeah, I actually used to rollerblade a little bit. Nothing too crazy, just like that fun hobby on the side and do on the weekends. And so I was familiar with like the skate park kind of territory. And then when the scooters came out, it was just a fun thing to do almost anywhere, just because it's just easy. You don't have to like strap it on your feet and set up or go somewhere or have an obstacle. I just messed with those little razor scooters from back in the day and started jumping off the curves and a couple stairs, and naturally just hooked from there, like addicted, It was like, man, like even after 7 years of experience of rollerblading, I knew kind of what I was doing a little bit. Just that fresh, new adventure with something that's so raw. And I mean, it was almost people didn't understand. Like, I almost didn't understand it. Like, is this a thing? Like, are you supposed to do tricks on it? But I mean, I was hooked, man, no matter what.
So what was it like? I mean, this might be a difficult thing to answer, but what was it that like hooked you to it versus roller skating or something else?
You're saying like, why would I pick it versus roller skating?
Yeah, or skateboarding or whatever.
Well, the main thing is that when I used to rollerblade, I would need the obstacles or the skate park to get fulfillment. So I would have to go take a drive to the skate park and then strap on the rollerblades. But the scooter was cool because I would just using it wherever I was. Like, let's say if I was just in the street, like finding little curves or obstacles. To me, it was almost more fun doing those immature steps versus the experienced steps from rollerblading. Like, I was just like, oh wow, this is so much more fun because I can do it anywhere. And I'm not married to a certain location, and I don't have to strap to my feet. I can kind of just do whatever. Plus, your hands are on the scooter, so you can do tricks with your hands. It was just a lot for me. It was a lot more, and it was almost refreshing at the same time, starting something new. That was it. I mean, it was like an easy drop of the rollerblades to the scooter transition, just because of how fun it was.
So, like, how old were you when you made the transition?
14.
Wow. And then when did you think it could be like a full-time thing? When did you think you could make a living from it?
Oh man, that almost recently. Probably almost like three years ago or so. Yeah, I mean, I knew there was potential before that, but it wasn't ready yet. Like, the sport and the position of where people were riding these things and how the world accepted it wasn't ready yet. I was working other jobs until 3 years ago or so.
Wow.
Along with riding, yeah.
So what was that like? You were working like part-time jobs or full-time jobs and then doing this at the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I was riding a scooter no matter what, as much as I can. Anytime I had free time, it was strictly for that since the beginning. When there was summer vacation from school, that's all I would do every day. I was at a high school, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it would be the first thing I get on. I make sure I do my homework and everything in school, just so I had more time to ride. Like the teacher was like, all right, this is the homework for the day. And then we're sitting there for 40 minutes to finish the class. I was like, oh, 40 minutes? I'm going to do this homework while she's teaching me something, try to listen at the same time. That way, when 3 o'clock hits, pencils down, I can just grab my scooter and go ride and not have to worry about homework. But man, I mean, I worked part-time jobs and full-time jobs. I think I've worked a full-time job all the way until 3 years ago. Like I worked the last job was at a scooter shop.
Yeah.
And I worked about 65 hours a week, along with making YouTube videos, living on my own, multiple sponsors, having a girlfriend and a dog. And I was doing all that, trying to make it all happen.
Yeah, sounds familiar. So like when you decided that you wanted to go all in and fully commit to your profession, like what was anyone against that? Did anyone think it wasn't a good idea?
In the beginning, the very beginning, when I first turned pro, which is a very minimal contract, but to me it was the greatest thing ever because someone was going to support me for something that I would like to do, which is like, I mean, if someone gave me a dollar to ride a scooter back to me, I'm like, what? That's nuts. That's just crazy. Like I'm making it, this is all I need. But yeah, what it is? Some people didn't understand in the beginning, especially because this wasn't a developed sport. So you're doing something that's out of the box and that's actually not even financially stable or ready yet. So it's almost understanding when someone didn't understand it before. My parents were just kind of like shocked. They're like, wait, what? You want to not go to college and try this? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can always go to college later, but this is what really makes me happy no matter what. And I know that even if I were to make $1 or however much, I'm winning no matter what, as long as I can ride this thing more. So in the beginning, it was challenging because no one understood it, and I almost didn't understand as much either. I didn't know what the potential was, but I saw hope, so I had to try it.
Yeah, I think like to make a decision like that, you really need to be clear on what you want, what makes you happy, what will make you happy for a long time. Is that something you've thought about?
Yeah, I mean, like when I made the decision, it's not like there was somebody. So we're like the first generation pros, right? Like we're the guys in our field right now are the first guys to be pro on the scooter. So it's not like we saw somebody do it and we're like, okay, this person was able to make this happen. So we can kind of follow their steps a little bit, and we have the sense of security. Mm-hmm. But just knowing that the potential of me being able to just ride more, that's what got me. It wasn't even like, oh, I'm going to make this crazy living. I'm going to be in these competitions. I'm going to buy mansions and I have all these crazy sponsors. Like it wasn't even that. It was just there was one opportunity when someone's like, hey, we will support you. We'll fly you around to some competitions. We'll give you free scooters. And like that, to me, that was it. Like if someone just gave me free scooters, I'm like, whoa, and that count me in. So that was it. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't really like we saw the future, but I just any bit, or even to this day, if someone can contribute to me riding more, like that's, I want to be best friends with that person,
So was there any, I guess, during the journey to becoming like self-sufficient, like you have your passion and then you're making enough money for that to then support you, was there any time that you didn't think it would work out, that you might need to take a step back and do a job again? Or
yeah, I mean, we all fear that, right? It's not even about thinking that it won't work out. It's just that you fear that it won't, more than anything. Because at the end of the day, if you want something to work out and you're gonna give your entire life, it's bound to happen. When is the answer? No, there's no answer for that. When we would all like to know, like, oh, when will I be sufficient enough to do what I want and make money, or when, like that. There's no answer for that. When things line up, they line up.
Yeah.
But it would be the hardest decision was 3 years ago. That was where I completely eliminated every other job besides riding and myself. And it was tough because I was so used to, like, I worked at a bike shop for 70 hours a week, full time, and was building my sponsorships and competition rosters and stuff. So I was doing that along with traveling. And then I moved from the bike shop to the scooter shop for another 3 years. And then that was the last position. And I at that point, it was scary because you almost like you don't know if it's going to work out and you fear it not working out. But the more you sit and you fear it, like that holds you back so hard. I remember sitting there, I remember quitting the job, and I'm sitting there in my bedroom on the floor, and I'm like, oh man, for a second, definitely for like that first day, I was like, is this going to work out? And then there's a fire. You just got to remember the original fire that's inside you that started the whole thing. Like that is the fuel. Like I remember, like when I was 14, I was like, oh man, this would be great to just do something with this, like be a pro scooter rider someday. And I'm just like, I'm already here. And then it just got me heated. Like I remember sitting there. It was definitely an emotional day, like that one day, and it got me heated. And the next day I just went and just figured more about myself and what I'm capable of, and tried to push that.
I love that. It's like, I love that. It's like I can feel the passion when you talk. It's I think when you're able to get into a place where you can simplify things down, because there's so much noise in the world, and I think when you can simplify things down to the 4 or 5 things that really matter to you, then that becomes your
freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Yep.
Because everything that anyone could ever say just washes over you and doesn't distract you. You become focused and committed to whatever's going to happen next.
I think that's no matter what you do, it could be anything. You could kick rocks, but if it's the number one thing in the world and it makes you happy, and you're at the point where you do not care 1 ounce of what someone else says, you made it. That's it. Like I can already see, like, imagine if someone's outside, they're kicking rocks and they're having the best time of their life and they're by themselves. It's like, I want to be that person's friend, because that's the energy we need. And it's hard because a lot of people, I don't want to say insecure, but we fear what our echo would sound like, through how we were brought up. We were brought up like, oh, you should do this. Like when we were in school, we were taught to work for people who are in school.
Yeah.
That's the mentality. So like it's almost like we were just brought up that way. It's not like, well, in school, like we're going to teach you just how to react and be the better person, take opportunity. Part of that was just kind of on your own experiencing with people. But I mean, you're in school to study what they're telling you and then to learn how to work for certain things, and it's good depending on what your job opportunities are. But then you also don't know what opportunities are going to be at the same time.
Yeah.
Once you get out, or even before school or 4 years after school, you don't know.
Yeah. I feel like that was definitely part of my thinking. So I went to college or university, but I knew that I didn't want to just follow the path, and conform in many ways. Like I wanted to explore. I wanted to have an adventure. And for me, like creating businesses, running Trtl, growing Trtl, going through this crazy time over the last 12 months, like being involved in the travel industry right now is really difficult. But the last year for us has been really difficult, but I would much rather have this experience now at 33 years old versus 73 years old, because I've learned so much from it. There's so many useful things that I can take into the future and stuff like that. As a kind of positive way to look at it, but I truly believe that as well. But yeah, it was definitely part of my thinking to, like, wanting to have an adventure, wanting to be fulfilled and go in search of that, and not necessarily conform to what you should do and what's expected of you. And the last 10 years for me have been a lot of fun, done a lot of cool stuff.
You know what I always think about, and this is if people think about this, you almost will justify some decisions you make. Is think about when you are 73, and let's say if you're just sitting in like a rocking chair and there's like 5 kids in front of you, like new generation, wouldn't you want to tell them all these crazy stories, like the stories that you're telling right now, like what you're doing you just want to be able to tell better stories. Like, I don't know, I can just picture, like, I just want to be able to tell all these better stories, these crazy stories, unique stories, rather than something somebody's already heard,
Yeah.
So the same thing for you, these 10 years of something that no one else has done before, this mentality that no one else has. People want to hear this. And this is why your brand's successful, because it's different.
Yeah.
So I always said, like, my end goal is I would want to have these endless stories to tell when I'm sitting on like a rocking chair on a porch somewhere when I'm 80. And like that's my goal. With all this, that's my goal.
Yeah.
And if you follow the path, then it's almost the story that you're telling, it's been told already.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for me, like, very similar. For me, it was, if I can get to 80 years old, have, I want the stories to tell firsthand. I don't want to pass on information that's information that I've read in a book. I want it to be my story and the thing that I've experienced, because firsthand information of what I went through and how I thought, the thoughts I had, how I felt through the challenges, the good times, the bad times, those firsthand experiences are so much more powerful, because you're not being told that this is the right thing to do. You're not reading this is the right thing to do. You know what the right thing to do is based on your own personal experiences. And I think that's like so powerful. And I think like being, 73 years old and being able to tell the stories to the kids and the grandkids, if they listen, is definitely something that I share.
That's going to be legendary. That's what I'm aiming for.
So, like, if we take a step back, like, so 3 years ago, you went all in on your passion. You started to do more, I guess, more social media, get involved in YouTube and stuff like that. What was that like? What were the kind of early days like?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing YouTube. So I'm on my 5th year. Well, I'm 4th going to 5th year on YouTube. Social media is kind of just a given, like, you have a personal brand, and I remember Instagram kind of being the first real thing. And I've been doing that since the very beginning, since Instagram started. And just, we grew up with the mentality of, you have to film these videos of your best tricks. And they were on a tape, or I think YouTube was starting to be introduced. So you want to put your video on YouTube, your best tricks takes you about 2 years to make these videos. You put it on YouTube, and you get the couple hundred people who only scooter to watch it, and that was it. So we lived for that. So I had the experience of making videos since the very beginning. We would just film tricks since I started, and learning that social media actually feeds off that, but on more of a consistent basis. That's where I was like, maybe I can apply the experience I already have from filming for 25 years, and try to up my production, up the motive behind it, and be more consistent. I mean, we all know that social media is and was and will be a fast way to connect, right?
Yeah.
So instead of me putting this tape and mailing it to this company and maybe have a premiere in a movie theater, something like we did back in the day, now you can literally upload in seconds. Like, the whole world is on your phone. So taking advantage of that just to help, spread my journey and adventures. It's definitely a great tool to have. Instagram and YouTube is definitely one of my favorites, just because of how personal you can get. Because it's not just a 10-second thing that someone can just, swipe up. But YouTube, you have to click play. You have to be ready. You have to be there for at least a couple minutes, to hear somebody out. So it's definitely that part. Besides the following, that part I really like, because I can connect with my audience there. So that's really it. It's nonstop. You never know what's next. Maybe there's another platform tomorrow. We got to see if that's our thing.
Yeah, definitely. Are there any insights you can share from starting your YouTube channel? Like, were you were you nervous? Like, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, obviously when you first start a channel, you're talking to a camera, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, what is this? But at the end of the day, you should always worry about what you're doing today that's going to make you happy, and then film it. Because a lot of people worry about turning the camera on and then trying to figure out what to film. That's not going to be you. There's no way in hell that's going to be you. And you can see people online that are still trying to figure themselves out, but they press record too early. Figure out what that activity is. Figure out what that experience is for the day. What you want to do, what you want to learn, whether it's a skill or if you're doing something brand new or something you've been doing for 50 years, then share that with the world, because people want to see it. People want to live with your experiences. So that's where, if you're gonna start a channel, don't even worry about quality or what to film or how many times you should post or how many subscribers you should get in so many. Listen, you want to film what you're already going to be doing, so that way if it does do good or if it gets 0 views, you don't lose, because you're doing you no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's the advice I can give.
What's that like right now though? Because obviously you started off, everyone starts from 0, and then we get our first follower, our second follower, and then now you literally have like millions of people. If you look across like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, you have like, over 1 million people following on social media. What's that like now when you post and, seeing the feedback, the comments?
I think it's a blessing, because at the end of the day, there's 2 mentalities. There's a mentality where you can go about filming and try to win, right? You go in like, I want to get these views and be huge. And, there's endless ideas where you can look up and see what's doing good in the algorithm and try to figure out these videos that will be viral. But if it's not you, to me, that sounds like a crappy job in 10 years. Like if I do these videos, let's say if I'm scootering in Walmart and doing some crazy stuff and that video does 50 million views, and I'm like, oh man, now that video, I gotta do another one like this. And then you're stuck with that job. For me, it's always been a gradual thing. I've been filming what I want to film, what I'm doing anyway. And my following has obviously grown, but I've seen people start after me and pass me, right? But for me, I want my job to be me for the rest of my life. So whatever it is, but for me, this following that I built for 18 years, it's a blessing, because this is 100% what I'm doing off camera, but now I'm just filming it.
Yeah. And if you're true to yourself as well, it's much more sustainable, isn't it? Like, you can do it forever. You can't do something else forever.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like as much work. Think about if you had to try to be someone else. It's so hard. And you're gonna be stuck trying to be somebody. Like that just sounds hard, whether you're filming it or not.
Yeah. And like, I can imagine, New York City almost being like your movie set for what you're filming and stuff could provide some
that's how I see
amazing content. Yeah,
it's fun. It's just I've always, even before I picked the camera up, it's just somewhere I always like to be. I would just go to Times Square at night with my friends, and we would just push around that with lights shining on you and everything, and just doing that, you feel the energy. And like I said, you feel like you're on a movie set. There's like so much going on. You can go to Times Square every single night, and every night's a different night. It's nuts. And that's where the YouTube thing benefits, because there's a series on my channel that's successful because of that. We went one night and we did exactly what we've been doing for 15 years. And we just turned the camera on one day, and then people actually enjoyed that, which was a super blessing, because they're like, man, this is exactly what we love to do. And they love it. Like, we nailed it. This is perfect.
That's awesome. What, like, to flip move the conversation to a slightly different topic, but what was it like? What was it like in New York when this all kicked off, the pandemic, when it all started? Like, it was like being in the UK and Scotland, we're seeing news clips from around the world and stuff, and obviously there was a focus on New York for a period of time. But what was it like from your perspective?
Yeah, it didn't seem real. It seemed like a bad movie, to be honest. It seemed like I was in a movie that I've watched 1,000 times, you know, and you're like hoping for the ending, but you're sitting duck at the same time because you're actually involved. You're in this movie. You're a cast now. So you don't know what's going to happen. It's not like we had experience either. And just this place being so congested and full of people, and it being very diverse with different traditions, cultures, and I guess like just the way people live was hard to control, and which is fair game because that's the greatest point about living in New York because of how diverse everything is.
Yeah.
But it's tough because you can't control it. You don't want to control it. Then it would kill the whole point of New York being New York. But as far as the pandemic, it was uncontrollable, and there was a lot of there's too many people, and it was too packed. And the hospitals are overwhelmed. Like same I was watching the same news you were watching, and it almost didn't feel like I said. It looked like a movie. Like I couldn't even believe it. And when you go outside, and you see nothing, and you see the hospitals, I mean, it was crazy. It was like a nightmare. I'm not gonna. Yeah, it was great. It was bad.
I think as well, like at the start, we didn't really know much about the virus as well. So it was like the unknown was a massive part of it. You just weren't sure what you could do.
Yeah, that's another thing too, because we were home, but we didn't know what to do at the same time. And the people in charge, same thing. I mean, it's fair. Like they didn't know, we didn't know. We had to wait and learn about it. That's what it came out to. And the problem, while we were learning, we were facing consequences, which was the tough part.
Yeah. And then, so the thing you love to do every day is go on your scooter, go do things, do interesting stuff. Lockdown happens. You can't do that anymore. Like a lot of us, we don't have the same freedoms right now in terms of being able to go to the bar or being able to go to, buy groceries in the same way. Some of us, or lots of us are working from home. So we're not getting the same social contact or the same number of social interactions that we're used to. So you have your main thing taken away. What did you do to adapt?
Yeah, I mean, every time there's a challenge with something getting in the way of riding, I will do anything to change that. Like I will do anything. I'm addicted to this more than anything. Filming or not, like I wasn't even worried about filming or like job. I just like needed to ride and needed to learn the stuff. There was a temporary fix where we took all the furniture out of my living room and built the wooden platform, a 13 by 13 wooden platform in the living room, just so I can ride in circles for a month. And then after that, still feeling I'm limited and watching the news. I'm like, what's going on? Like, what do we do? And I'm sitting there like, I have a following, and the world kind of has not an idea, but just, there's a motive behind having to fix this. And there's people that need help. So it's just like, I gotta at least do something to like speed this up. Even if it's if we save a minute on this whole thing being resolved, and I can do that, like I gotta try. I guess I gotta try one person at a time. So I'm sure I know you saw the videos kind of where we all started for this conversation. I channeled one of my successful video series into almost like a weapon against the problems in New York with COVID. The series is a successful GoPro series full of tricks, influences, and all these crazy action shots and everything. And I turned one of those videos into a video to help bring awareness to the city, the people that needed help with making masks, delivering food. Homeless shelters needed assistance. And I turned one of those videos into a video to help focus on that, just so like, all right, maybe this can help speed things up because I got to get outside and ride and people need help. Like let's try something. So I did that just to kind of get things moving.
I feel like there was a real show of community within communities when this all happened. When you think about the various people who handmade PPE, like personal protection equipment and stuff like that. There's lots of, I feel like it was a great example of different communities and people within the communities just trying to do something to help, which I think is awesome, right? And your Ride NYC series is really cool.
Yeah, that's what it was. And I remember I was my fiance was on the phone with somebody, and this person just mentioned that they were making the N95 masks for people in the hospital, because people were making their own stuff, but as far as the front line, like, they need the serious N95 gear. And I just overheard this guy was like, yeah, I started this company, it's called 1,000,000 Masks, and we're just here to make masks for the hospitals in the city and just, give them out. We're not here to make money. We just want to we have a factory, we can make them. So when I heard that, I was like, this guy needs, he just started his company in the middle of the pandemic. How the hell can people hear him out? And I was like, maybe I can. The way it pieced together was crazy, because I had no motive to make a video. And when I heard that, I was like, man, how could I help him? Like, I'm sitting home every day. I got to do something. We try to help. And then there was another situation where we heard this Thai restaurant was feeding the frontline workers in Elmhurst Hospital, which was the craziest hospital in New York during this time. It was packed. There were morgues outside. There was a line, people waiting to get tested, like almost like a mile, 2 miles down the road. There was cars were jammed, and they were feeding the hospital workers in that hospital. And I saw it in like a news clip or something. No, it was like in a post. And I was like, what? That's crazy. Like, they need to, like, and I read that restaurant just opened up 2 months before the pandemic, and it was a family-owned business.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh my God, like, that's nuts. Like, how could I help them? I didn't know how to help them. Like, go in and help cook food. Like, so it was just like these things that triggered. And I was like, I'm sitting here and I hear these people need help, and let me see, like, I ride a scooter. How the hell is this gonna help? Like, no, I can't see me physically contributing to people because I have no education with making masks or Thai food. So I was like, let me make a video to just showcase their work, so that way the world can support them, and that way they get support that can help the city. So in the video, basically, it was just instead of having cameos of top influencers from around the world, it was the cameos for the people who really needed it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And like, it now has 15 million views on YouTube.
Right now it has 2.1 million.
All right, cool.
hopefully hits 50, but I'd rather the virus finish, and that way that thing doesn't have to have any more views. I'd rather that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that is definitely a kind of a common part of the conversation is how people's habits have changed, and people saying that they want to get vaccinated, they want to, and they're looking forward to say in 6 months' time and they can go and see their family and be with people, and I guess being grateful for time with loved ones and stuff like that, and making the most of that time and stuff. And I would say that's one of the good things that's come out of this, is that we definitely will cherish the time that we have with loved ones. We may not have done before. We may not have done it enough before, but now, like, definitely if I can be with my mum and dad and my brother, my sister-in-law, my nephews, like, I will definitely be there. So that's one of the good things. What is there anything else that comes to mind for you? Like, what good can and what good will come from this?
I mean, I definitely I agree with what you just said. This summer, we definitely were cautious in the beginning. We didn't even see our family at all for the first month because we didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
But after learning how it kind of works, we still know how it works. This summer was really, I mean, like, same thing. I was seeing my parents more than ever. We were going to parks. We were doing all these outdoor activities that we've never done. We're taking my mom to the beach every other weekend. We're having picnics with, like, my family and my fiance's family. I mean, that definitely brought everybody closer because your circle is close now. Like you have a closed circle, so now you're cherishing who's in that circle more than ever.
Yeah.
So that was good. Whether it's the people you live with or your friends that you know that you are comfortable and trust seeing. I mean, that relationship just got locked in with everybody in your circle. So I'll second that for sure.
That's cool. Awesome. And then one final question, right? So when we can travel again, right? When we can get on that plane, where's the first place you're going to go to?
As long as I have your pillow around my neck, it doesn't matter. I'm not here to rub the ears with your pillow, but I'm dead serious. I can't wait because I know if I pack that pillow with my bags, I'm getting on the plane. I'm going somewhere. It's going to be a long flight. It's going to be somewhere different. It's going to be great. I would like to go somewhere warm, just because it's freezing here in New York and we get a lot of snow. So I would like to trade the snow for sand for a week or something.
Definitely.
But anything really. Before I'd be more picky, but now it's just I'd be grateful to go anywhere. Anywhere. Someone can just get me on a plane just to fly to the other airport in New York. Like that's just cool that there's progress, So it doesn't matter for me. Anywhere is good.
I feel like it'll be nice to go somewhere like definitely warm, go to the beach, like just relax and chill out. But it's definitely more about like who you're there with rather than where you are.
Exactly. I would love to get on the plane with people that I know and friends and just enjoy wherever we're going. Like I said, it doesn't matter. As long as we're with people and we're getting somewhere, I'm down. Count me in.
Awesome. Well, that's a great way to finish off. Jon, thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you.
I appreciate you. This is fun. Hope that we can talk more and do some more fun things in the future. And I mean, I'm all ears. I'm always down to have fun.
Definitely. Well, thank you all so much for watching the podcast or listening to the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. The links to where you'll find Jon on social media will be below the video, and the link to the website there as well. So thank you so much for watching or listening, and we'll speak soon. Take care.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks.